This is what we're going to do today. And I'm pulling up the chat. I had to restart my computer because I'm trying to make sure that I don't freeze. I'm hoping that helped. So let me get to YouTube. Da, 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 da. Okay, so today we're going to make this house, which I made as a gingerbread house in, I think it was 2020. And I painted it with gingerbread paint. And what's weird is it still smells like gingerbread. I mean, it's not strong, but it still smells as gingerbread. So I'm going to my channel now. I'm pulling you guys up. And so I can see the chat. I saw Tiffany, my brother is here, Paula, Alice, Amy is here. Hey, Joanne Weber, Delvine. Hey, Delvine. And I saw some others. Sonia said she was, Rosa, I think, was here. Yeah, ton. Michelle, Barbara Rogers. Hey, Barbara Rogers. So anyway, so happy to see all you guys. And, you know, if you have any trouble, like if I freeze, tell me I freeze so I can see it. I have a screen in front of me that kind of helps me, but sometimes I'm like blah, 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 and I'm not paying attention and I don't notice that I freeze. Or if you have any trouble hearing me, that would be good too. Okay, alrighty, so this is the house. It's design number, oh shoot, I forget, 96. It's design number 96. And it was designed as a Christmas house, but I looked at it and I'm like, that could be easily converted into a Valentine house. So I see Maria. All right, so let me just, actually I'm going to show you things with the top-down camera because I think you can see them better, but I've got a lot of stuff to show you. So I'm going to switch cameras, probably. Okay, I'm rotating. One of these days I'll have it a more sophisticated setup. I probably say that every time, but really and truly I will. Okay, let's see where we are. Okay. There we go. This is I called it the Gingerbread Cardboard Cottage. And you can see the gingerbread. I mixed the spices with the paint. And like I said, it still smells good, but it converts beautifully into a Valentine one. All right, so that's one version. Let me move it aside. I really need a side table. This is actually the first one I made. And I didn't realize that the colors were so blah. And then the other thing about it, in the pattern, there's a stencil for making the brick, which I really like, that fits this chimney. Luca just went by. If you're wondering what that shadow was, that was Luca. But these colors, there really wasn't enough contrast between the two, and it was just kind of bland. So I made it red, white, and that was better. But this one looks pretty Valentine-y. Last year, I believe it was last year, and I do not remember the number. We converted the bakery or the patisserie into a Valentine version by just using some Valentine graphics. And I think I added some cookies, some little cookies you could make for your bakery. So that's an easy one to make. This one I made many years ago. I think it's design number 74. I actually did revisions over time, so they're different versions. But what I like about this candy corn, and it's faded. You can see it's so old, the pink is actually kind of faded. There's a pink layer to mimic what's called Cupid corn. And I can't remember the number of it. Did I say 74? I think it's in the description. But one really cool thing was I used a ribbon roll. I cut out some extra circles to fit on the bottom of the ribbon roll. And these are actually hearts that I kind of folded to make a nice bit of trim. And then I used a thin red ribbon. And I just like the way this looks. Luca's bothering me. He's kind of the most benign botherer. Some of them bother me and like sit in the way and Some of them bite me, but Luca just wanders. Okay, this is the candy corn house, the candy corn version of a Halloween house. Okay, this is a house I always say I don't like, and Amy says, don't tell us you don't like it, but I think it's probably the green base. I should probably make it over in different colors, and so that I will like it. I love the design. This is called the Front Tower Clock House. It comes with two different, It comes with two different cutouts here. You can put a clock here, or you can do kind of an arched window. But that's the Front Tower Clock House, and I call this one the Valentine Villa. Like I said, one day I will redo it so in colors I like. And then let's see, what else? Oh, so I kind of looked. This is the Irish, like the leprechaun house, so you could like catch a leprechaun. And I checked. I think you can use these windows. Lukey's rubbing against the computer. These windows, I believe they will fit on the Irish cottage, so you can actually use that. Now the door does not work. The door is too small. So what you would do is enlarge it to the size of this door. But this is the leprechaun. It's kind of like a leprechaun dollhouse. So it's just kind of another option for you. I do love this house. And then in the Fairy House collection, Jackie of A Cottage in the Forest and I made a collection of just little houses that can be just kind of easy fairy houses you can make. And they're all made out of paper. And this is the Hearts version, but I really like it. So, and you can see it's got a little fencing that works with it. So that's from the Fairy House collection. That's not, most of what I show you are free on my blog, on my website, but this one is not. This is a purchase in the Fairy House collection. I think there are about 20 different designs, so you can really, do a whole fun village throughout the year. And then these are from the Alpine Village Wreath Workshop. Again, these are not free on my website, but I made them. I just think they may look better than the Christmas versions. And this one's got the little heart-shaped fence as well. Here's another one. And let's see, I like this one. It's got like a heart roof on it. And let's see, and whenever I use this design for whatever season, this design is always fun. And then let me show you. I think this is my favorite. It's the barn. I love the little doors on the barn. I was really happy with that design. So this is the Valentine version of the barn in the Alpine Wreath Workshop. So I just wanted to show you some ideas so you could modify your own stuff. Really, you could just glue hearts on things and use some different colors, Valentine colors to make a house. But right now, I'm going to scoot past Luca, dust off the little hairs from Luca, and show you the pieces for the Valentine house. Let's see. Yeah, the barn is easy to do, and everybody loves seeing barns, real or miniature. Okay, this is the front piece. And I didn't realize that there's not a lot of contrast. It's sort of, my pink is kind of washed out. But this is the front piece. This house is big enough that you have to have a separate front and back. So this is the back piece. I like things sturdy. So this is a cutout that you use to reinforce the front. When I made it out of cardboard and I painted it with all the gingerbread paint, sometimes it would warp a little bit, so that's why I use a background piece. And the same thing for the back. We'll glue those on. Here is the chimney, and this is an insert. I just added this to the pattern. Y'all told me that it helped you to have an insert in the bottom to help keep the corners square, to help keep them at 90 degrees. So I added that to the pattern. And this is the roof. And it's got scalloped edges, so it's very easy to do the shingles. I've got all the shingles and everything over here. Okay, so let's start. I'm going to glue the background supports. And these cutouts are slightly larger than the windows they go around, so that they, it's just kind of easy to fit. Let's see if my glue will work. I'm doing cardstock, so it's okay to use, not it's okay, it will work well with Barely Art glue. Wait a second, I have to cough. Excuse me. So you can see, oh, don't do that. You can see my glue. My pen has been sitting in my glue for a while, and so it's all kind of schmutzy. It's all gray. But now it's okay. It's not discolored. I like the point to fit well and the bottom. And la la la. I like glue. But obviously that's plenty. So let's turn it over. Let's see. Yeah, this is what I'm considering the inside. And I'm matching it up. And whenever I do a support piece, you don't want it to interfere with the fold line. So this support piece is slightly smaller. The windows are bigger, so they don't show through. Even if you put it a little off center. But I do make it shorter and a little narrower so it won't interfere with my fold lines. We'll do the same thing on the back. And just a little bit. We got glue on it. Put this in the back. Yes, I'm using cardstock. Amy asked about cardstock, and I did that because I know most of y'all use cardstock. So I thought I would make sure that this worked with cardstock, and I'm glad you brought that up. This cardstock is actually 100-pound cardstock. It's pretty sturdy. I ordered it from 12 by 12 Cardstock Company because that way you can order the exact shade you want at a good weight. So if you buy it from one of the hobby stores, it's harder to find heavier cardstock in all the colors you want. But 12 by 12 Cardstock Shop has a lot of varieties that it's easier to pick out colors in heavier cardstock, especially if you just want one or two. So this is 100-pound. When I get my 110-pound, I usually buy it from Michael's, and it comes in 8.5 by 11. This is, like I said, I got this from 12 by 12 Cardstock Company, so it's a 12 by 12 sheet of cardstock. Okay, that was a good question. And then next, I'm going to glue the trim on first, but I just wanted to try something out. So I cut out some extra windows, and I'm wondering, I want your opinion, do you think I should back it with white? I have some pink cutouts, but since the house is pink, I think that's kind of redundant. So I'm going to glue it. I think I'm going to glue the white behind. I think it gives a little more variation. So when I glue something that has a cutout, I try to apply the glue to the portion with the cutout so the glue blobs won't show through. So let's see. So I'm going to glue these behind the windows. There are, I think there are 4 windows. Yes, 4 windows in this design. Yes, the white. Everybody says the white. Or at least the answers I see so far. Thank you. I just don't think the pink shows up. I think this adds a little more contrast. I could have done a brighter pink. I didn't have a heavy red, so that's one reason I went with pink. Okay, let me glue some white to it. And just a minute. I try not to be boring. You know I try. So that's 2. And let's see, same thing for the door. Let me find my door. Here's my door. Here's a white piece behind the door. Now you could leave it because, you know, let light shine through. You could put a piece of vellum there, but I'm just going to keep going with the white. And I think I'm going to do the shingles the same way. I cut out pink shingles and white shingles, but I really think red and white is the way to go. And I am not lining things up well today. Actually, I have an idea. I'm going to trim it. Because all I'm doing is really doing enough, you know, adding this just to go behind the heart. So I don't need it to be big. Let's add a little glue. Sometimes I try to have stories for you, but not much is going on right now. I've actually kind of been discouraged, just a little unmotivated. And so when I went around looking to say, I wonder if there's something I can use. And then I found all these Valentine houses. I'm like, oh yeah, I got stuff I can use. Two more windows, just a minute. Let me find my white pieces. After Luca got on the table, he kind of made it in disarray. I'm sure you have helpers at your house, little kitty and dog helpers. I think the dogs tend to be more at your feet. The cat that visits most often when I'm crafting is Alley Cat, but I actually put her in a room. She doesn't like the same food as everybody else, so I put her food in the room and then I close the door. So she is relaxing on the bed and cannot photobomb the video. Oh, Paula says she's allergic. That's a pain. When I was doing my pediatric residency, if you did an allergy rotation, they would do allergy testing. In other words, that's the only reason I did an allergy rotation, was so they would test me. I wanted to make sure I wasn't allergic to cats, and I was not. Lots of things. I was allergic to lots of things, but just not cats. I'm going to trim this one too. Mine's all plant life, pollen. Oh, and mold. You know, if you live in the South where it's humid, mold is a real issue. But fortunately, not to cats or dogs or any other little animals. So I was very happy about that. Whoops. Okay, got all my things. Let's glue them on. So I'm just going to apply glue around the frame. And center it over the opening. And if you're a precise person, you like to do things precisely, then what you do is you flip it over and see how it fits. And that one, I actually, for me, centered very well. I'm not, I'm kind of go by feel person. So a lot of times my windows are not perfectly centered. And lately I've been trying to make my window frames large enough so it's easy to get some glue on them. Glue around the edge so they'll adhere. I'm sorry, I looked up for a moment and I saw that Jackie said her dogs will steal her unpainted models off her table. You know, my cats like to bat things around, but basically they do not eat my stuff. So I'm lucky in that regard. I thought that was pretty funny. Dogs stealing your cardboard. And the pieces that my cats tend to steal are, they like little pieces that they can bat around. That's really what cats want to do. They just want to pretend it's prey and scoot it along the floor. Okay, so we've got that. So next, let's put it together. Ideally, you would wait for it to dry, but you know, it's a video. We got to get it done. And I did put a trim piece back here just for kind of visual interest. There's a cat hair on the glue tip. Kind of aggravating. Yes, Paula would never be able to come to my house. One time I had a party at work and I put up a sign that said, if you have allergies, be sure to take Benadryl before, which people thought was kind of funny. You know, you're inviting them to your house, but you got to pre-medicate. But I figure Paula wouldn't ever be able to come. If we ever have an in-person event, I will try to make sure I reduce my cat hair burden. Because I do hope one of these days we will have an in-person event somewhere and we can meet somewhere and actually craft together. Okay, so Amy Butler says her cat leaves its teeth marks, I think, on the CPAP, on the distilled water CPAP. Yeah, that doesn't sound good. Yes, I think many, many more people are allergic to cats than they are to dogs. I know that's true. We obviously would not have an in-person event here. I've been to, not crafting events, but I've been to sort of website blogging events where we, learned about stuff, to work on your blog. And they were held at a hotel, and you had like several lectures a day, and you could work together, and you got to talk to experts and stuff. So if we had an in-person event, it would be at a hotel and we would probably have, a couple of craft-alongs. Okay, there's our structure. And that's why I did it out of cardstock, because I wanted to make sure it was sturdy and it really looks good. So let's glue down. I'm going to have to borrow Ben. I need those little clamps, those little things up there for holding edges down. I can't remember what they're called. Clamps. No, there's a word for it. So I'm applying glue. Remember, I call this the roof flap, the support flap. It's an under roof. And then these are the roof tabs. If you are new here, these are the roof tabs. I use the word tab for, that's what you apply the glue to, and it goes like this. Nope, they're on top in that cookie sheet. My whole living room is a craft room. This one's actually sticking down. You know, if I'm using cardboard, it doesn't stick as well. Let me see. I need, yeah, little ones. These things. Okay. And let's apply glue to the other side. Binder clips. Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl. Oh, wait, I didn't realize. I use my phone as the top-down camera, and if you get too close to it, it doesn't know what to focus on. So I'm applying glue to the tabs. And honestly, it's really holding well, much better than usual. So you make sure inside that each front and back touches the roof flap. You don't want your flap to be out a little bit. You know, you line them up. And let's apply a little pressure down at the bottom. We could use painter's tape. There's our structure. Isn't that nice? It looks good. I think next we'll do the roof. And I meant to glue the pieces together. So I've got two colors. I'm going to do the white and red for the roof. And this is the roof piece. And it's already, you know, since this is scallop, this just goes on top. The white piece just goes on top. It's not structural. In other words, you don't need a ton of glue. In other words, you don't need as much glue as I put down. Yeah, well, when you reserve a hotel, and you have an event there, and you basically sell a block of rooms, I don't think they charge you much at all. So the problem would be deciding a good place. That's the problem. Because people are from everywhere. I think Delvine's in South Africa, and, you know, we have a couple of people. I know one person from Australia. Actually, that one's dirty. It had a little glue blobs on it already. And I think this works out so that there are 13. Now, I didn't mean to do lucky 13, but I think that's what it works out to. But the problem with doing an in-person event, the problem for me is everything takes me a long time to do. And when I do an event, because I have actually helped with organizing some events before, I get pretty obsessed, and it like takes over my life. So that's kind of the challenge. Okay, and I'm gluing this on now because it's so much easier, and I'll show you. There's also another advantage when you glue your shingles on before you put the roof on. You can't always do that based on the design, like if there's a, some weird roof piece or, cutouts or something. But when you can do this, because of the weight of the shingles, yeah, doesn't this look good? Isn't that going to look good on our little house? The weight of the shingles holds the roof in place better. So that's one, another major advantage. Now my friends Amy and Jen, I know they're thinking of doing one, but I think they want to go to like the Christmas markets in Europe, which is like a whole different level of an in-person event. But it'd be fun. Okay, let's see. I'm hoping I've arranged it right, correctly. My nose itching. I don't think it's so much that I'm a micromanager. I just keep coming up with more ideas, and then I'm like, oh, I got to make that. Oh, I need to make that for them. I need to have that ready. That's really what I do that takes up all my time. Oh, yeah, and then I can make this. And then I can make personalized name tags, like one for, let's say Susan, and one for Corey, and one for Amy. And I'll make them personalized, and they'll have cutouts, and, that's what would happen. And maybe that's micromanaging, but mostly it's just over the top. Yes, Amy Butler said she's more of a cabin in the Smokies. That is actually more like what I would do. And I'm not actually very far from the Smokies. I'm in South Carolina. So I did go to one event where we had about 15 people and 3 teachers, and we shared a house. But it was actually, I think it would have been better if we'd been in a hotel. Just kind of giving you a little bit of separation. So, but anyway, we will do that sometime. Not this year. Yeah, that's exactly what Nam was saying. Maybe we could build a house. Well, that's what I would do. Is I would make up a kit, and we'd all make them together. So I can show you. I don't know. I try to tell you my little tricks as I go along, such as doing the shingles ahead of time before you glue the roof on. But sometimes you'll say, why are you doing that? Oh, because. Just little things that I hadn't thought of. Or, if we cut out stuff on whatever cutting machine, maybe a variety of cutting machines, you're like, well, here's a trick to do this. Here's a trick to do that. Uh-oh, I think I'm going to be short. Maybe 1 or 2 white pieces. That I can still glue them on later. Okay. My brother had this idea of doing a live where I explain the mess levels. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Yeah, we're doing that. We're going to do that during the Spooktacular. The audience is bigger, and I can kind of explain mess levels. So, really simple little house, cardstock only, is probably a mess level 3. You know, you cut it out. You got a few little cutouts to deal with. Minor glue. No paint. That's probably a 3. You still got to cut it out. You got to dispose of the offcuts, that kind of stuff. But it's basically a 3. You bring out the paint, kind of gets to a level 5. You tip over the paint. You know, that, depending if you just tip it over on your mat, that's a 6. You tip it over on your floor or your floor and clothes, you're getting into the 8 level. You're doing paper mache and you're painting, yep, we're at level 10. I think this is a 4 just by virtue of the number of pieces and stuff. But it's not bad. It's actually bigger just because I have to, once I'm done, I have to put all the houses up in a place where I can find them later. That's always the issue. Yep, I'm short 1, so I will cut out 1 more. But we've got the whole roof. There we go. All right, and the nice thing about using a pink underlayer, now red would work too, but it just matches and it's kind of consistent. So let me see. This kind of the end of the bottle. Let me see if this new bottle works better. I really should get a bigger tip. Should have it as a bigger tip just so I can glue. I can add a thicker bead of glue. But by squeezing hard, I'm getting a pretty good bead of glue. And the places you want it to adhere the most are in the front, along this edge, not over the edge, along the edge, and this edge, and the back. The roof flap does not go all the way, but it really doesn't need much glue here. This is where we want it to adhere the most. The fold at the top of the house is not so important. I keep smearing it. I'm not aiming well today. Okay, now wait, actually, I don't know. I compared the amount of glue on this one and this one. I'm like, oh, this one needs to match better. Add more glue. Yeah, if I had done the body in red, I think it would have shown up better, or at least what I'm doing would show up better. Okay, now, because of the weight of this, we just smush it down, and I try to make sure that the overhang is equal front and back. And that is about right. And then just, you have a couple choices. Sometimes I tape it, but I don't usually tape with cardstock. Sometimes I do, but I try not to because it's easy for it to tear. So if this was painted cardboard, let me see. I'll show you on, but it looks like it's adhering very well. Okay, anyway, I'm going to hold this. Okay, so for painted cardboard that I'm having trouble gluing, wait. Where I'm really trying to make this adhere, I do my painter's tape and I anchor it on one side, primarily at the edge, in case I have to paint it. It'll hold, and then I pull tightly across. I try to make it tight so it'll hold these two edges down. But like I said, and you can see this is old cardboard. I mean, the paint's well dried, but it doesn't adhere. It doesn't pull anything up. But with this cardstock, one, it's easier to glue, but two, if I did my tape trick, it would probably pull it up. Okay. All right. Next, I'm going to do the insert at the bottom. Oh, Amy said she has trouble getting her overhangs even. Yes, and I actually didn't do it. If you look, you can see this one is actually a little wider than that one, so it's slightly twisted, but it's such a minor amount. You can't tell by looking at it unless you're like, you know, a judge or something staring at it. And we don't have many craft judges. Oh, Amy is talking about the an event with, what is it? Historical reenactment. I think that's really how Jennifer Maker started her crafting. That's the first thing she did that made her think she could do it as a career. She is really good at, you know, she started off with the Cricut, but I think what she's really incredible at is sewing. I think she's an amazing seamstress. Okay, so somebody taught me when you're doing the insert, glue one piece in, make sure it's secure, and then apply glue to the others, and then you're not like trying to glue 4 sides at once. One of y'all told me that. I'm not sure who, but one of you guys taught me that. That's why I like to, when I'm paying attention, is to see what you recommend during the chats. Okay, so now we just kind of insert it and just sort of adhere the sides. When I make an insert, I generally make it 1/10 of an inch smaller than the side. So this is like 5 inches across, so I made this 4.9 inches across. And this, I think, is 2.5 inches deep, so I made it 2.4. And automatically, your little house is steadier. Now, for the other version, this is my cardboard base. It's about 3 or 4 layers of cardboard that I painted. And I like this base better, but it does take up space. It does allow you to decorate. You know, you can add more trees and stuff, but it does take up more space if you're trying to do a village or something. And you can decorate. You can add trees around this without having to have a base. But you can still, if you glue this to a base, you actually have a much greater surface area. So there's a real advantage to it. Let's see. And the last thing is the chimney, and I'm actually not going to glue it on because I want to stencil it. So all you do is glue this short tab side to the other side, and then glue it on your house wherever you want. Yes, I do the hole in the bottom for 2 reasons. One, so you can apply some pressure to get the glue to stick, but also if you want to put like a light in there, an LED light. So those are the 2 reasons for you. Yes. Anne Marie asked about the light. That's part of it. But also on mine, this is a tradition. The original little houses, what they call putz houses, had a hole in the back where a light was inserted, and it was when the old-timey light bulbs, you know. And I just do that as part of a tradition. If you wonder why all of my houses have that in the back, it's sort of the tradition. So You know, I know not everybody does that, but I started in making these from a website where they made little reproduction putz houses, and so I always leave that. Okay, no, Peggy Sue, I did not do a tab, and I really need to experiment with tabs that fold in so you have more surface area to glue the roof chimneys on, but I have not done that, and that's a good idea. Maybe I'll play around with that. One reason I haven't done it is because of the thickness of the fold. It's not as smooth an angle, but that's a good idea. Maybe a tab just in the back. I don't know, but you're right. That would be easier to glue the chimneys on. This is a relatively big chimney, so you've still got decent surface area, but when you have little tiny chimneys on top, it can be hard to get them to stick, but that's a good idea. With chimneys, I basically just hold it. If you wait, glue has kind of a binding period, a time where it's ideal for sticking. So if you apply it and leave it, it can be just a few seconds. It might be as long as a minute. It loses its shine. Glue loses its shine. Let's get some out here. I'm not sure if you can see how shiny it is. I'm going to move my light down. I'm trying to let you see the reflection off of it. No, it's not going to show. Let me see. Let me just put it on a piece of paper. It has a reflection, and it's very shiny. One, you can smear it so it'll dry faster. And I'm going to hold this up to the camera so you can see the shine. When that disappears, it will stick much, much faster. So that's one thing you can do. And it's already getting dull. Let's just wait a second. I'm going to wipe that up before I, kind of step in it. So this is already getting more dull, but if we wait probably just a minute, it will stick so much faster, and it would be harder to move. So like right now, it doesn't hold, but I don't know what that was. Maybe my camera, somebody called me. Okay. So now it's starting to hold. So you can wait just a minute for your glue to get tacky and dull looking. Okay. So let's see. Anybody have any other questions? Let me dry this, because I'm going to lay my little house down. There we go. And I'm going to, I didn't know. I didn't mean to take so long. I'm sorry about that. Let me go back, switch to my thing, and switch to this camera. Rotate this. Okay. I think that's it. Isn't it cute? I'm very happy with this. It actually looks better than I thought. And you can do all sorts of other trims. For one thing, I forgot to show you this. I saved the cutouts. Like, this is the heart from the door. I saved them. And so you could put, you can decorate with the, I'm just going to have to glue it on so I can show you, since I add a little dab of glue. There you go. See, you can use the cutouts from the shutters and from the door, and I'm sure you can find other heart patterns, and then just decorate your house with, more detail. In the file, I think there's actually some trim you can use, and I had some little birdies. Let me see if this, I think one of them has a little bird on it. Yeah. See the little bird cut out, so you could use that too. Okay, I think that's it. And I hope you will try this. Like I said, design number 96 in the Paper Glitter Glue Library. It's free. And I will see you next week. I don't know what we're going to do. If you have any ideas of something you want to see me do, particularly a technique or, something I've made in the past and you're like, I would really like to see that again, then let me know. Okay. Alrighty. I'll see y'all next week. And you have a good week, okay? And take care of yourselves. Okay. Bye.